Hi, I'm Ananya Iyer. I'm 18 and a half years old. The half is very important. Um, I studied science in 11th and 12th, physics, chemistry, maths, and biology in CBSE. And because that scarred me for life, I am now pursuing journalism at the National School of Journalism and Public Discourse.
I'm Bhavna Prakash. I'm 19 years old and I did science in 11th and 12th. And currently I'm studying journalism, psychology and communicative English at NSOJ.
I'm Vikas Suresh. I'm 19 years old. I studied commerce in grade 11 and 12. Now I'm a student at the National School of Journalism and Public Discourse. I study journalism, political science and sociology as my core subjects.
Hi, my name is Virginia Arivu. I am 19 years old. I was a humanities student back then in my 11th and 12th, and now I'm pursuing a triple major degree which consists of journalism, psychology and communicative English at National School of Journalism, Bengaluru.
The first statement for the day is Pulao versus Biryani. They are not the same thing.
I mean, obviously, yeah, they are not same. And the very first thing which comes to my mind is that biryani has like actual meat pieces in it, and pulao doesn't have that, and the fragrance and like the taste, everything. Pulao and biryani are not same.
I mean, in my opinion as far, which I think is fact, I feel that the preparation is what defines whether it's biryani or pulao. I think biryani is has a bit of Persian kind of influence to it, and pulao is kind of a more South Indian kind of thing. And it's not just about meat as well. I think at least here in Bangalore and Karnataka as a whole, you do get chicken pulao or like non-vegetarian pulaos. So yeah, I think it's not just vegetarian or non-vegetarian.
Yeah, like he said, the preparations are different. Biryani has layers and pulao is mixed initially itself while cooking. And they're both unique in their own ways, though the tastes are different.
I'm glad we all have strong opinions on biryani versus pulao, as we should, okay? I have one opinion, and this is going to be Peter, okay? Veg biryani is pulao. There is nothing else. That's the end of story. No more comments. Thank you.
No, but at the same time, you should not associate the word biryani with something which is veg. Biryani is known for the name of, it carries its glory with it, and why do you have to mix it with something which is veg?
But then aren't you narrowing down the definition of biryani?
Yeah, I am, because it has its uniqueness. Why?
The uniqueness is in the preparation method.
No, but at the same time, when you're saying that it's biryani, many would have a preconception notion that, okay, biryani is something like mutton biryani, chicken biryani, egg biryani. You cannot just say that paneer biryani. Come on.
It is supposed to blow down all your preconceived notions of food.
There is a reason there's something called veg biryani. There's a reason people sell it. And therefore, I would like to bring an end to this heated
There's
discussion.
the market for it, people buy it.
I really didn't think you all were going to take it so seriously. But moving on to the real statements for the day. For a successful career, subjects are a deciding factor.
Okay, I'll go first, okay? So, traditionally in science, people usually go for medicine or engineering because, India. So, in these cases, you need to have a certain kind of subject which you have studied in order to go into medicine. For instance, you can't go without like a basic knowledge of chemistry. You can't go into engineering without a basic knowledge of physics and math. Okay, so if you're going for those traditional fields, it makes sense. It makes sense for you to have a certain subject beforehand. But if you're going into something creative or, well, really anything non-sciencey, then I don't think it really matters whether you have a certain background in things. Well, because there it's all about your thought, about your imagination, about your hard work and your creativity. So, yeah, it depends on the field.
I mean, I feel that when we go to school, a basic level of education and knowledge is needed in all spheres and whatever field we would be specializing in. But when it comes to choosing a particular stream, definitely it cannot narrow down our scope in future, because there have been cases where people pursuing science have come to arts background and they have flourished much, and they feel that was their calling rather than the stream that they have pursued. So for example, I am from an arts background and I feel that there is more scope here, but at the same time there are a lot of stigma which is attached to arts background. And so there's another name for arts background which has been slowly being introduced into the field, which is humanities. But when you go and say that I am from a humanities background, people are like, what? Then you have to narrow down the scope that has already been widened to, because people know that. Then you go and say, you know what, I'm from arts background. So I feel that no, the subject that you choose cannot be a definition for the career that you take up in your future.
So again, I think it's important that we distinguish between a profession and what we study in school or college. So I mean, I don't think most people who study engineering end up becoming actual engineers. Half of them choose to do an MBA after they're done with their engineering. So I feel like, it's up to their choice. It's not restricted as to what you study in school.
Science has got much to offer than a medical and an engineering degree.
I second that. Being a daughter of a research scientist and a woman who did engineering but then ended up doing severe coding for the Human Genome Project, I can definitely vouch for this, okay? Ultimately, right now, medicine is never going to go out of fashion, but, engineering is slowly fading out, and what you're seeing right now is an emergence of nanotechnology and biotechnology and microchip making and stuff like that. This is really going to be the future, okay? So, I think the notion itself that we had in the 1990s, where we said, if you're not going in medicine or engineering, if you're just doing science, you probably got like 55% in 12th grade, but you wanted to continue science. I think that's completely fading. That's pretty much what I have to offer.
But I feel like science is never really going to go out of fashion, because as a society that's quite technologically advanced, we do need science, but then it's like, we aren't going to put all our children into this field and then expect something good to come out of it, right? Because everyone has different hobbies and different skills that they have. Can't force them to do things that you think are good for society.
Yeah, and from my personal experience, I didn't want to do engineering or medical after my 12th. So when I searched on the net, I found more than 150 other science courses in India, which are not generally spoken about, maybe genetics or microbiology or other biotechnology for that matter. They are not spoken about that much compared to engineering and medical. So they're more than engineering and medical in science.
So I feel that when we take science as a subject itself, only two professions, as my fellow mates have said, that engineering and doctor, that's the profession which is the two most popular professions that outshine all the fields that are there in science as well. So there is a battle amongst the fields within science that exists. So if there is a battle amongst the field within themselves, how can you talk about other fields? So one should have a very clear understanding as to what are they wanting to do, and even if they are not very much sure about what are they wanting to do, they should have a free will to switch their career and not have a preconception notion that, I'm going to be judged because I switched my career. That's not the thing. You're actually going on the calling that is for you, and once you do that, trust me, you will be very much satisfied in what you actually have, rather than doing what you think that people should be thinking that I should be doing this.
Virginia, don't you think that this notion is already fading? Like you still seem to be talking about the mentality that used to be there, but especially in urban metropolises like Bangalore and Mumbai and Delhi, don't you see more and more people actually taking up proper science, theoretical physics, chemistry? Don't you see that? Because the way you're talking, it's like it's almost as if you're still in 1990s and 2000s.
My dear, see, the thing is that I feel maybe in the place that you have been brought up, or maybe the people you have been surrounded with had that concept notion. Because see, even I have a background from Delhi. I have been brought up in Delhi. But having said that, my teachers, what they used to say is, or the people who had I have been around, they had a thing that, okay, science means doctor, engineer, or if I'm going to some institutes like Akash, Fitzy and all, they'll be like, oh, you're going to this institution just because you want to become there. That's not the case. Like, come on, I can go there to maybe enhance my mental ability skills, or maybe to know that, okay, if I go in this field, what's more to venture off. Yeah. So yeah, that's what I feel.
Okay, fair enough.
The next statement, science-based career offers stability.
There is a reason I took up journalism after taking 11th and 12th physics, chemistry, maths, biology. and scoring 94% in my board exams, it's because science is just fading out, to be very honest. Unless you're really in theory, right? You're really into theoretical physics and you're going to make some grappling, advancement. Science is pretty much very, very low key right now. It's in fact especially after the 2020 pandemic, more like the ongoing pandemic, but okay. But especially during 2020, we saw how many engineers were being laid off from their jobs, how much of them had 50% wage cuts, and how even doctors were suffering, right? I think the pandemic really got all of us into like the stark reality of science is not God. Whereas journalism, we saw journalism, filmmaking, of course, went into the sideline because obviously you can't have a set while you have COVID. But we saw how journalism, how literature, how the arts really flourished. And people were really beginning to appreciate that, began to appreciate culinary skills and way more. So I don't think science is the way forward, very, very honestly. It's not even going to offer you stability, as we just saw.
Also, one more thing that, as mentioned, that the pandemic actually hit us really hard in various ways, and the most important aspect of human life which was brought into light was mental health. None of us can disagree to that, because during this time we got a time to introspect ourselves, introspect our relationships that we share with others, at the same time introspect a career that we can have in this field, which is psychology. And if you see, psychology has a really bright future, and I'm proud to say that I am a humanities student and I have studied psychology in my 11th and 12th, and I'm pursuing it even now.
So I feel like it's not just science which offers stability. Again, there are a lot of professions that come under the science background. So it's not like, you can't expect everyone who's been employed, who's an engineer, to be paid well, to be treated well at their workplace or whatever. But again, it's like you look at people who've studied commerce. They're in good positions, in management positions. In fact, they are the ones who are, in the scalar chain, they are above the engineers.
That is true.
So in that case, it's not that, science is what offers you stability. But yeah, even if I want to support my colleague here, Virginia, what she says, even in arts, say she has taken psychology, say you end up becoming a therapist. Let me be honest, it's quite a well-paying profession, in my opinion. And there's quite a lot of demand for that as well. And in my opinion, it's a form of public service. So I don't see that science is something that gives you a lot of stability.
I think all branches have stability in their own ways. But then since she told many people lost their jobs during the pandemic, we can also see that most of it was online. So the technical people working are getting more job opportunities, and cloud computing and data sciences is developing really fast nowadays.
That is true.
The last and final statement for the day. In a society where people think that science is more important than other streams, how do you think you can maintain a balance with respect to the other subjects?
Don't care about society.
I feel like it's not on us to maintain that balance, because I think this is kind of something that's enforced because of all the stereotypes that are there in society right now. I think the best way we can break these stereotypes are actually by, getting out there, putting our professions on the line, and like showcasing how, even if you've taken commerce, arts, even if you've taken science, whatever the course of study that you have taken, in a professional setting, you can succeed, whatever. Even if you haven't studied anything at all, you have failed in 10th grade, you have failed in 12th grade, you still go on to become a billionaire. It's fine. No one's going to stop you. So, yeah.
Just do what you love, and at the same time know what your passion is, because many say that make your passion as your profession, but at the same time you can also have your passion and your profession hand in hand and succeed in both fields. It's not necessary that only if you are a journalist, only you can be a successful journalist. You can be a successful journalist and a successful author. So it's not important that you have a narrow mind on the profession that you have chosen, but at the same time venture out. It's one life. If we are going to live on what people think, we are not going to live for ourselves. We are living for the people who think that we should live their lives according to their needs and their aspirations that they have. It's your life, it's your decision. You are the correct person who can make the decision for your own self and finally be happy and satisfied with it.
I think it doesn't matter which branch we are in or what we are studying. At the end of the day, we should love what we're doing. That's it.
As me and my good friend Bhavna would say, since we both are Potterheads, don't let the muggles get you down.
That's a wrap.